All right, good evening. My name is Amy Ritterbusch, and we're calling the Select Board meeting back to order. We just came back from executive session. This is May 23rd, 2023. So Select Board member Shahidul Manan is participating remotely tonight, and all other members are present in the room. So we'll just make sure Shahidul can hear us. Can you hear us, Shahidul?
I can hear you.
Okay. And we can hear you. Okay.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and then, let's see. Okay, and then first we'll do the public forum, and then we'll do the reorganization, it looks like. Okay, so now we'll do the public forum. Each member of the public will have up to 2 minutes to speak. Okay, and start by stating your name and address, and people who are on Zoom who would like to speak should raise their hand on Zoom now so we know they're waiting. Is there anyone present in the room who would like to speak at public forum? Okay, so I saw Peter's hand first, and about how many are there tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then I think we might have some on Zoom too. Okay, so go ahead.
Peter Lagoy, 21 Hayden Rose Street, and I'm speaking as chair of the Trails Coordination and Management Committee, TCMC Trails Committee, but not based on a committee vote. I'm here to respond to a proposal included in your select board package from one of your members, and while I appreciate her attention to the problems with the Upper Charles Trail Committee, I'm quite upset that her proposal treats our committee and the Upper Charles Trail Committee similarly, in that the proposal was released to the public without any consultation with me or with other Trails Coordination and Management Committee members. I was initially a little concerned about this, but I was alerted to the proposal by another member who also had concerns. The proposal paints the two town trails committees with the same brush. As presented to you a month ago, our committee has been working diligently on trail improvements, proposal, and I won't take the time to go through all of them. Just one example, her proposed 6-week hiatus would have little effect on the Upper Charles Trail Committee. Maybe they'd miss a meeting or two. But for our committee, such a hiatus during the construction season would mean bridges not built and an Eagle Scout project put on hold. I'll close by saying that as chair of the Trails Coordination and Management Committee, I urge this board to not try and fix the Upper Charles Trail Committee problems by interfering with the functioning of our committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Hi, I am Amy Groves, 2 College Street, speaking on my own behalf. I would like to request that the Select Board direct the Upper Charles Trails Committee to pause operations until further notice. This pause will give the Select Board and town employees, if necessary, time to gather input, assess options, and determine the best path forward. This pause would include the following. Number 1, no meetings of the committee itself or any subcommittee or work group. Number 2, no signing of legal or financial documents. Number 3, no further work performed in a group or individually in pursuit of further funding or work contracts. This proposed pause would extend to the UCTC only and not to the town manager or select board. In other words, it doesn't pause operations that protect the town or advance the town's interests. It simply puts a pause on the UCTC's ability to act on behalf of the town. Since town meeting voted overwhelmingly to recommend disbanding and restructuring of the UCTC, the committee has held an ad hoc re-election of their existing officers. That, along with public statements issued by a majority of the full members, sends us a clear message that this committee intends to continue business as usual. This, of course, is exactly what town meeting voted against. So until we know what's happening with the UCTC, it would be imprudent to allow the existing members to act on behalf of the town, particularly in pursuing legal or financial commitments that might bind or compromise a future reorganized committee. Putting a pause on UCTC operations, for now, will give the Select Board the time it needs to determine the best path forward. Thank you for taking my comment.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Steve Frobeater. I reside at 39 Sanctuary Lane here in Hopkinton. I wanted to comment on the Upper Charles Trails Committee matter that the Select Board intends to discuss later this evening. I recently read the thoughts of a Select Board member who suggested that both the Upper Charles Trails Committee and the Trails Coordination and Management Committee should be instructed to take a 6-week pause in their activities, meetings, and work to allow the Select Board time to consider their response to the advisory action town meeting took 3 weeks ago, calling for the abolishment of the Upper Charles Trails Committee. I certainly support the notion of allowing the Select Board time to consider the matter, and I support having the UCTC pause their activities, meetings, and expending funds or entering into contracts during this consideration time. I strongly disagree, however, with the notion that the Trails Coordination and Management Committee be included in this 6-week stand-down. The TCMC is not a party to the town meeting action, nor are they an obstacle to the Select Board's period of consideration. The TCMC is actively engaged in their chartered mission of coordination and management of all trails in town, and there's no need to have them pause their activities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Chus from 11 School Street, and I'm here from the Trail Coordination and Management Committee. And I just wanted to add on to what Peter said. As you're working on a solution, it would be really wonderful to work with us, because the proposal I read seemed to have numerous problems, one of which was the suggestion that we have a friends group. We already have a trails club in town, so suggesting that we had a friends group, if we were working together, that wouldn't have been part of it. The suggestion that the two committees merge is also frustrating, because as people have said, we do have a working committee now, and to merge the two groups together would probably not be functional. So as you work on your proposal, I would just like to request that you work with us and get our input so the proposal can be best for everyone. Thank you.
I don't know if Linda, I don't know if you noticed, but Irfan and I did work on kind of a timeline that's on the table there, if you want to take a look at that. And again, this is just draft, it's just something Irfan and I worked on. And we know that the TCMC is having a meeting later this week.
Hi, I'm Amanda Maffei, 21 Hayden Rose Street. Another concerned citizen. I just want to put forth that I believe that this town has a pretty clear charter. I know last meeting I was here, and people were saying, well, we don't know what to do, but I think you do know what to do, because the town told you what to do, and you are representatives of the town. And I think that's pretty clear. We'll start there. Another thing is that I read in the paper from someone's comments that the articles were affrontive and divisive. And I want to address that, because I know that those articles were last resort. 4 years ago, I heard of this trail crossing 85 3 times, and I thought, well, that's not going to go anywhere, because the Select Board's going to say no to it, or Norman's going to say no to it. But in fact, what it seems is that both of these parties are in favor of it, and that deeply concerns me. So, I feel very strongly about this, and I feel like if anything's been affrontive and divisive, it has been, I have witnessed what the communication, or the tried communication with the UCTC has been for 4 years. And I feel like a lot has been pushed through with no accounting for having to negotiate or finding out what people think about things. It's just, we want it this way, and we have the money, and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on something that we have not wanted as a town. And I feel like a board is here saying, good work, you keep working, keep working. It's like, when someone's on a wrong track, you stop them. It's like raising a family. You don't have a child who's doing a lot of stuff that just like the family doesn't want, and another child is doing stuff that the family really is benefiting from. And first off, so you both get a timeout. It's illogical. And I would ask you to be logical. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Scott Nels, 175 Hayden Row. I'm the member of the UCTC, but I'm speaking on my own behalf. A little short. So I wasn't intending to get up to speak, but I thought I just wanted to mention, I've commented to the board a couple times. I think we have really good people in the UCTC. I think they have the greatest intent in mind. I really do. But I think the last meeting, Irfan was attending, and I think actually Muriel and Amy attended. It illustrated what I've said a couple times. I just want to underscore that focus, attention to detail, discipline, and having a plan would go a long way. And I'm not convinced that we, as a unit, have it in our DNA. And I think that we need to do something, and we need your help to do something radical. It's not coaching people that are set in their ways. I think you really need to look deep and hard at what the unit looks like, and can we as UCTC, or the group, function in the way that they need to function. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and it looks like there's no one on Zoom with their hand raised, so you wanted to speak as a member of the public as well?
Yes.
Peter Lagoy, 21 Hayden Row Street, speaking as a private citizen this time, and one of the Article 47 petitioners. PFAS, MWRA hookup, Wilson Street gas tanks, municipal properties, Main Street corridor, and school costs. The town is facing a number of complicated issues that will require public interaction and complex solutions. Trails aren't one of them. Yet at your last meeting, there was mention of public forums and deliberations. Issues with the UCTC have been regularly voiced in the media over the past year and a half. That was the time for deliberations on alternatives to fix the identified issues. As I noted at town meeting, we petitioners did not take the extraordinary step of presenting this article lightly. The town voted overwhelmingly to advise this board to replace the Upper Charles Trail Committee, and the article presents a roadmap to doing that, modeled on the school committee, school building committee relationship. I've provided additional options to your members tasked with reviewing this situation. Under Section 1-5 of Town Charter, board members are reminded that they are expected to act always for the public, regardless of personal considerations. I respectfully ask you to please act quickly to implement the will of the town. Thank you.
Peter, I'd like to ask you to just grab the little draft that Amy and I had worked on.
Okay.
I don't know if
I think
speaking
that's
out of order, but
yeah, no, I think that's
people
fine.
need to understand that, we are thinking of the whole town.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're done. Okay, so we're done with public comment. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, and now it's time for the select board reorganization. The select board will elect a chair and vice chair for the next year.
I'm sorry. Can I just add, I was going to, usually I do this during the consent agenda, but right now, I think we should do it at this point in time. I want to acknowledge Dick Hoyt, who passed away, and is a big name and a big person in this town, and I know that we got them a van one time when they needed it, and that they have spent a lot of time here, both on and off the marathon, and we need to acknowledge his loss is our loss. We also lost another member of the town today, Harry Hamilton, who was well-known and well-liked, and he actually was a janitor at the police department for a short while after his retirement, and he will be much missed here in Hopkinton. And I have an announcement. Hopkinton Emergency Fund has 4 bibs for the Falmouth Road Race to auction off. They would like $1,500 a bib. And like I said, they have 4, and it's the Hopkinton Emergency Fund, and that's where the money will go. It's P.O. Box 44, Hopkinton, Mass., or you can call Jennifer Blake, and her email is here. If anybody's interested, we have her email, okay?
So coincidentally, I saw people on Facebook this weekend disappointed that they did not get numbers for the Falmouth Road Race.
There you go, so now they can.
I'm going to take a picture, so I couldn't remember who to contact, so hold on.
Well, we can keep that here.
Yeah. Okay, now time for select board reorganization.
Madam Chair, I nominate Muriel Kramer as the chair.
Great. I would second that. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for chair? Okay, so can we take a vote? We'd have to do a roll call vote because Shahidul is remote.
Yes.
Irfan Ashwali, yes.
Mary Jo Fernier, yes.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes.
Okay, we can change places. Oh, I have all my stuff under here
Do you
too.
want me to shift? I'll take the end.
This is more complicated than I thought.
Musical chairs.
I'll shift the chair down there.
Oh, keep the slot down. I like it.
This is yours, right?
Mine, yep.
Amy, can I ask you?
Yep.
Am I on the Zoom? Sure.
And this is yours.
Name tags? Just in case.
Yeah, I switched it. That's Amy. Oh, where Francis there?
I'm all right with that. Thank you.
Okay. Do you need that tonight?
I don't think I
Do the
can.
remainder of the shuffling later.
I was just going to say that takes more effort than we thought.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said it. All my stuff?
Madam Chair, I nominate Shahidul Manin as vice chair.
Nice. Is there a second? I'll second that, by the way. Is there any other nominations for vice chair? Are you willing to accept the position, Shahidul? Are you interested in the vice chair?
Thank you. I humbly accept and thank you for the nomination.
All right. All those in favor have to do a roll call vote.
So, Irfan Ashwali, yes.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Mary Jo Fernier, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes.
Shahidul, yes.
Great. Thank you. I wanted to first, I know it's not on the agenda, but it seems appropriate to thank Amy very much for all the work she's done this year on behalf of the board and the town. So thank you for that. And Mary Jo beat me to remembering Rick Hoyt. So well done, though. Well done. All right. Next up is the consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull out any of the items on the consent agenda?
I don't want to pull it out, but I just want to thank Cynthia Escobar for all the work that she has done in the Upper Charles Trails Committee.
And Parks and Rec, yes.
And Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and I just want to note that there's
Is it here?
It's a very large donation.
That's what I was remembering. Yes, there it is. And a really large donation from an anonymous donor to the Hopkinton Police Department of $50,000. So while we can't thank them directly in person, we can thank them for that extraordinary donation. So, okay.
And actually, I would like to pull out item D.
What's it?
I'd like to pull out item D.
Item D, okay. All right. So we'll discuss item D in a moment. I'll accept a motion on the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Rafana Srulli, yes?
Amy Roder-Bush, yes?
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Muriel Kramer, yes. I'm like, where did she go? Okay, and item D, did you have something you wanted to say on item D?
I just wanted to ask, so we have, Mr. Colombo, the reason that we're voting on this is because these are municipal employees and they're taking on a second role.
Yes. It could be a conflict of interest if we don't disclose it, right?
And have all the disclosure forms and everything been submitted?
The entire process has been reviewed and has been presented to the board with the recommendation that the board approve the names forwarded.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that I see a bunch of names on here that were kids. Well, not too long ago. Like, wow, it's incredible. Like, they're back, they're math teachers and they're coaches now. I had a question, though. I'm fine with this. I don't have any problems with it. But I think I noticed that we have different pay rates for the coaches.
Sure.
I just didn't know why that was.
So we have folks who really run the clinics at a director level, such as Tom Keene and Mike Greco and Gene, and then we have another layer before them that are more senior instructors. So there's quite a layered hierarchy of instruction, and the reason for that, plainly, is that these clinics are awesome. They've been awesome for years. It's not an accident that the Hopkinton High School track program and both boys and girls basketball programs have been so competitive and good over the years. It starts with a really good youth program. So this is all these clinics are popular for a lot of reasons, but mostly because the instruction is so good and because it's so much fun. And as long as sports are fun, kids continue to play. So it's really important for continuity that we retain these folks, hopefully for years to come.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions on item D? No? All right.
Madam Chair, I move to accept
approve the exemptions to allow
item D from the consent agenda.
Second?
I second it.
All those in favor by roll call vote?
Rafana Srulli, yes?
Amy Roder-Bush, yes?
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Chandramanan, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
If I may, through the chair, I want to take this opportunity to express on behalf of Town Hall our most sincere gratitude to Jay Guelphy, who has been our Park and Rec Director for about 8 years, I believe. As has been announced, he has since left the town. And in fact, having him here tonight exemplifies the commitment, the dedication, and the professionalism with which he conducted himself as our Parks and Rec Director. He's not part of the town anymore. However, he was willing to come and support a recommendation that he had worked through. So, Jay, on behalf of Town Hall staff and on behalf of the community, thank you for your exceptional service.
Thanks very much. Very humbling.
Best wishes in your retirement.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Keep it fun.
All right, great. Okay, town employee introductions and appointment. Take us away, Mr. Town Manager.
Yeah, with the chair's permission, I would like to ask Maria tonight to...
First.
Yes. to sit alongside with us. Yeah, first to sit alongside with us. I am excited to share with the community that we have convinced Tom Temple, who is here with us tonight, to come out of retirement and help Community Hopkinton as the interim DPW director. He comes to us with extensive experience in public works, having been the Deputy Public Works Commissioner in the city of Marlborough for an extended period of time, as long as I believe 23 years. And then after that, he spent 9 years as the DPW director in Chatham. And again, so excited that he's coming out of retirement to help us during the interim. And I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce him to the community.
Great. Thank you. Welcome on behalf of Hopkinton. Welcome, and we really appreciate having you, Maria. Did you want to? You just want to be here. Yeah. Does anybody on the board have any questions?
Well, I just want to say thank you. Anybody who's willing to come out of retirement to fill a position, even if it's temporary, deserves some credit, and we thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Congratulations, Madam Chair and select board members. I appreciate the opportunity. As the town manager said, I worked for the city of Marlborough for 33 years and the town of Chatham for almost 7 before I retired. So, over 39 years of experience in the municipal side of things. I was in the engineering division for probably the first 26 years and went to the dock side and became the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works there, and all the different operations from snow and ice to road paving, roadway management, sidewalk improvement plans. It was a great opportunity, and you've got a great community here, and I did have some extensive experience with PFAS in the town of Chatham, as well as dealing with iron and manganese, so I felt like I was right at home as soon as I came in. So I'll try to walk you through and get with the whoever the selection is for the next DPW director and hit the ground running. So.
I'm sure he's helping that department.
Yeah, I actually had the pleasure of being at that meeting and really appreciated your abilities and your experience, and I think it'll be quite helpful for us. Anybody else?
Through the chair, I also want to thank you for stepping in, especially at a time when we have so much going on with PFAS and everything, and your outstanding experience and expertise is certainly a great addition, even for the interior. So looking forward to having you, and welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just echo what the others have said. I did watch the water forum, and I'm very glad that you have the PFAS experience, because that is probably one of our biggest challenges at the moment. So that's really helpful.
So I want to say that that's a big move, coming out of retirement to come help us out. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to say I think our paths crossed, but I used to work at DEP, and we were working with the city of Marlborough, so I'm pretty sure our paths have crossed.
That was there a long time, so I'm sure.
Yeah, it must have. But, for you to be able to come in here and hit the ground running with the experience with PFAS and everything else that's going on in town, it's enormous. So a huge thank you. And welcome.
And welcome, yes.
And thank you, Tom. Tom is available on a limited basis and is at DPW on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So if you have any DPW questions to all residents, please feel free to reach out to Tom on those days. I'm also excited to share with the community that we have also been able to identify an individual, Pat Savage, who is going to fill in as the interim Park and Rec director. Unfortunately, she has another commitment and is not able to join us here. Oh, she's available. I'm told she's available online, so we will, with your permission. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
We can see you.
Yes.
Okay. Hello. I'm Pat Savage.
Yes.
Nice to have you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Kamala.
Yeah, Pat Savage, again, is joining the community on an interim basis. Will be able to help us 3 days out of 5 days per week. And she comes in with extensive experience in running park and rec programs. She has already met with the team. The feedback that I've received, even also from the chair, has been very positive. And at this point, I will let Pat say more about herself and have the board ask any questions you may have.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Pat.
Oh, sure. My background is, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Is in rec. I actually have a recreation education and sports fitness management. I've worked in several communities and municipalities. I started my career in the academic field and then moved on to the city of Newton, the town of Sudbury, the town of Westford, and Norman convinced me also to come out of retirement to help out in the short interim period while they find a new director. I was happy to meet with Jay and the staff last week on Tuesday, and then was there Wednesday and Friday. And my weeks will vary because I do have, of which days. So like this week I'm working Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That seems to work out for me mostly, and looking forward to working with the two young people in the office. A good hire with Aaron, and I met with Colleen, and we'll move forward, keeping things on, and met with Dan Terry, the chair of the commission. So if you have any questions, just ask me, or it's a pleasure to be asked. My head has gone down from the being, everybody who requests you because they think you're good. It's always a compliment. So, and so I just Norman is a great proponent for people that he's worked with, and it's a pleasure to work with him again.
Well, wonderful. I just want to say thank you very much, and I'll ask if anybody has any questions.
No questions, but again, I just want to thank you for coming out of retirement and helping us out. I think it's enormous with your experience. I'm sure we'll be in great hands.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep, I'm glad we can fill the spot during the busy summer.
Yeah, especially in this busy season. Thank you so much. Well, welcome. Thank you very much.
So I'd also like to thank you, Pat, for stepping in. And as you will see, it's a very vibrant community, and we have progressed so much. And thanks to Jay's leadership in this space. And there's tons of activities in summer and tons of actually strategic things that are also happening in the park and rec space. So I'm sure your leadership will be a huge addition to that. Thank you for joining, and welcome.
Thank you.
I just
look forward to working with you.
I just want to say thank you for coming to Hopkinton, and I'm sure all the parents would agree with me. And our athletes, keep our kids and athletes busy. They need to get out there. So do we, but we don't.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Look forward to meeting you all in person.
That'd be great. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I move to confirm the town manager's appointment of Charles Paquette as the assistant treasurer.
We're going to meet him first, I think.
Sorry, went too fast. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Next.
Yes, next the introduction is going to be made by Maria. Again, as Diane and CJ are walking up, I just want to acknowledge the amazing work that the HR department is doing to bring all these individuals to the community.
Yeah, thank you very much, honestly.
Thank you. So on behalf of the town manager, I'd like to introduce CJ Paquette. He will be replacing Diane Hendrickson, who is our treasurer-collector. And CJ went through 2 rounds of interviews with the town, and we did references on him. So CJ's experience is both private sector and public sector. He's worked for, credit unions and whatnot, so he's seen both end of treasury, receivables, and payables. references revealed that CJ is a team player who consistently gives 110%. Customer service is one of his greatest strengths. A reference from the credit union noted that members would pick his line and wait in line for him for service. Another reference indicated that CJ is a problem solver who looks for greater efficiencies. And as you know, we're looking to electronicize as much of it that we can. So CJ will be a great partner there. And, you know, he's a multitasker, adept at pivoting, which happens here all the time, all day, every day, and prioritizing work. The first panel consisted of Diane Hendrickson, Renee Chen, Gary Doherty, and Kristen Merrill. The second round panel consisted of Diane, Liz Rourke, the town accountant, John Neese, our principal assessor, and myself. So if Diane wants to say a word or two?
No, I was impressed with his references and some of the answers that CJ gave us. Like, he likes to complete his work on a timely basis and accurately and be a team player. So all the answers he gave were really spot on, and he was our #1 candidate throughout the whole thing. So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, wonderful. This is the happy time when we get to ask you a couple questions, and we hope that the town gets just a chance to meet you a little bit. Of course. So my favorite question is why Hopkinton? What attracted you to this position in particular, and what do you hope it's going to do for you in your career?
So I was an assistant treasurer for the town of Spencer, and then I had moved to a high school and did the accounts receivable there. And I kind of missed being an assistant treasurer. I really like the job itself. And I love Hopkinton's community. I think it's a beautiful town. And I just look forward to meeting all the different individuals and working for such a beautiful town.
Great. How about anybody else? Question?
We have a lot of things coming up in town, and I'm sure we'll be able to keep you very busy. And I really want to just welcome you to Hopkinton.
Thank you.
I think you'll be a good fit.
Thank you so much.
Amy?
No, I don't really have any questions. We have your resume in the packet, and we're really glad to get this position filled. It's really important for our work in the functioning of Town Hall.
For sure, yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So no questions? I mean, if you're the #1 candidate, I mean, I'm gonna say, yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm glad that we were able to get you. I know that you've been through a thorough round of interviews, and I'm happy to have you on board.
Thank you so much.
Shahidul?
No question. Just thank you for choosing us, and welcome.
Thank you.
Great. So I'll accept a motion to confirm the town manager's appointment of Charles Paquette as assistant treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call vote. Irfan?
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Mary Jo Finner, yes.
Charlie Manon, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes. Congratulations and thank you.
If it's okay, we'll grab a picture.
Yes.
The website.
A couple of us will hobble on out there. Picture of, I think you could have stayed next to me.
Yes, we usually go.
Bits of movement. Good morning. Here we go.
Let's see. Okay, great, Diane. Elaine, do you want to? Thank you. Here he comes. I sent him because I didn't know if I knew how to do that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Suggest a picture of this.
Yeah. All right, everybody looking at me. Big smiles. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you. June 5th.
June 5th.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Nice to meet you. See you soon.
Okay, great. That's what you want. Congratulations.
All right. I don't even know where we are on time. Probably fine. Oh, we're good. Okay, so
I'm getting used to the right chair. Shahiduls.
Okay, so we're going to discuss the Upper Charles Trail Committee Town Meeting follow-up agenda item. If you don't mind, I would like to just say one quick thing before we start. First of all, thank you to Irfan and Amy for putting some structure and some ideas forward, and I'm looking forward to hearing about that. I just wanted to say that I hit a home run with my feedback. So everybody on all sides of the issue are alarmed, which wasn't really my intent. So I'm in a unique position. I spent some time with it. I did not mean to cause alarm, and it is my first suggestion into the suggestion box because I am one of the select board and 2 members of the select board who are working on it. In order to provide feedback, it has to be very public. I will be fine if all of my ideas are put in the dustbin. I will be fine if some of my ideas are accepted. I will say that the ongoing conversation is best done if we can assume positive intent by people when they are making their contributions. I didn't really mean to alarm anybody. I did mean to put some time into thinking about it and to swing away in there a little bit. And I'll continue to do that, and I will continue to welcome others doing that as well. So if Amy and Irfan can take us forward, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we sent this document to Ben. Would you be able to put that timeline up?
Get your microphone closer in.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Something no one ever says to me.
So Ben's going to put on the screen the document that Irfan and I worked on over the weekend.
I'd like to preface it, but I think that the thing that Amy and I were both considering as we put this together was the need for public input and for the public to be a part of this, transparency, and yeah, we don't have the answers, right? So we need the answers from everybody. We need consensus.
Okay. So it's just a little timeline reminding us of the steps that have happened and what some potential steps we could take going forward. But so the town meeting vote was May 2nd to dissolve the Upper Charles Trail Committee. The Select Board acknowledged that on May 9th and expressed that we want to work forward with a solution everybody will support, or the majority of town at least. It's hard to get everybody, but. And then the Upper Charles Trail Committee had a meeting on May 17th, which 3 of us attended, Irfan as a member, where they voted Jan Moran chair and Eric Sonnett vice chair. And they also made several suggestions for changes to their charge, which were in our packet. And so this is kind of the gathering feedback sort of stage. So tonight, Irfan and I were thinking that we would discuss a framework and process for moving forward, not necessarily decide how the committees will move forward, but give our feedback. And then Muriel gave her feedback in the packet, and I think other members will have feedback tonight. And then we were hoping to get authorization from the board to move forward with some kind of brief community survey to gather community feedback. And then we note that the TCMC has a meeting this week, so we were hoping they might weigh in on their charge and thoughts for change and moving forward. And then if we got consensus, we would want to publish the survey maybe after Memorial Day. And then and the other part, it's a little more vague. I don't know if we have time to, so the survey results wouldn't be ready by our next meeting probably, but maybe by the 20th, I think. And then I know this is a tight timeline. We could try to have a public forum, although it is summer and I know people might not be around. And then perhaps by our July meeting, we might be ready to make some appointments to the committees. We usually appoint in June, but it seems like we could wait until we have some survey results and information. Let's see. And then we had recommended that once appointments are made, that that the committee, whether it's 2 committees or 1 committee with subcommittees, work on goal setting with a professional facilitator using a kind of a very formal public process. So those are our recommendations. Do you want to?
I want to.
Did we miss something? Yeah.
You didn't miss anything. I just want to expand on that a little bit, because when I was chair, we went through a training as a select board where we brought in someone to help us develop our goals and ambitions and how we get there. And I found that to be tremendously helpful as the chair, and I think as the board, in order to kind of prioritize and define how we're going to create a structure and move it forward. And I mean, I met with Scott, and we had discussed some of these issues. And although he said he doesn't know if coaching would do it, I found this to be fantastic, and it really helped me. And I'm hoping that it would help the Trails Committee. I mean, the Upper Charles Trails Committee.
So, would you like us to discuss if this framework works for everyone, and then we will give our feedback?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Why don't we talk about the framework? Shadul, do you want to start? Did you get a chance to look at the framework they proposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did. Let me settle in. So, thank you first of all. Do you want to make any comments now?
Yeah, that'd be great, Shadul.
Sure, thank you. Thanks, first of all, Amy and Irfan, for taking the time and putting it together. I know it's been quite a bit of work, and attending meetings and going through all of that. And I also got a chance to go through the meeting minutes and some of the pertinent information. And I think the framework certainly looks good and very well thought out. We always want to get the public's feedback and gather information and choices. We all want to work together. That's how our town works best, and that's how we want to move forward. That said, I just want to point out one thing is that, which I felt, is that we talked about it in the last meeting too, and this is a good progress on that front. But one thing I am also thinking is that from the town meeting, which is 2 weeks ago, we clearly heard from the people and residents of Hopkinton, and it's very clear that we can't keep doing the same, expecting a different result, right? So that's all this is about. And I also believe that it's our duty as people's representative to listen to their voice, and sometimes taking a little more time in action appears to be inaction, and may send the wrong or mixed message. So I want to be very clear, and I think this meeting also is going to gear towards that we are, or I am for sure, and I'm hearing from my colleagues, so they'll speak for themselves, but it seems like we all are on the same page about making a change and taking the feedback from the town further on selecting and looking at the options and moving forward for a better situation. And I personally think that we definitely want to make a change given the town's response, and given also that we actually have been hovering on a few things for quite some time, and we need to break that logjam and move forward for our key goals and key outcome, which is to have the trail going. And at this time, I just want to mention one thing. I'm hearing all the good, passionate, and concerned residents today. I feel that we need to act on the current UCDC's operation immediately, and I would be in favor of, and I'm happy either way. We are now moving towards payback, but I would be in favor of dissolving or pausing the current UCDC's operation until further. And in the meantime, we can go ahead and collect the information, get the public forum, get the survey running, and operate together to find a common ground, find the options that might work better and that would work better. That's what we want. And build a new framework, build a new or updated charter and charge. And that is something I would put out too. So to be clear, I do think that if we all can come together and make a decision on the current UCDC's operation to pause or dissolve, and then look for the options how we are going to operate in the future with the new charter and with the new body. And the body can be variety. That's the variety of options. And that's what we want to hear from, at large, to see, and we want to hear from the residents, from the subject matter experts, from the current members and all, and determine the path forward with the timeline that Reform has put out. And looking at the option, I know we'll have more discussion, but what I have heard and seen and thought so far is, one, we have heard that the UCDC can be a subcommittee or the merger of the other trades committee, and there could be create a new one, combining both with a larger mission together, and another would be we keep as is, but change the charter with specific goals and timelines that we think might work better with our close work and supervision and guidance and collaboration in many ways. But that is something we could determine with the residents' feedback survey, public forum and all. But for tonight, that would be my proposal to, I think, set the path clearly. And I know that sometimes decisions such as this, we don't want to make it sound too harsh or make it too, I would say, difficult, but we have to make the decision at one point, and this is for better. And I again and again thank the current UCDC members, the chair and vice chair, for their outstanding dedication, passion, and work over a decade. There's no telling that our town is grateful to them for their service, for their extraordinary dedication. But my proposal for tonight, and then we work through this framework and timeline to move forward with determining the next steps.
Okay, thanks, Charles. How about you, Mary Jo?
Oh, boy. Well, I don't want to see subcommittees. I think they're two very different charges and two very different committees. I would go along with suspending the UT, the committee. I would go as far as to say that we ought to disband the committee and do our due diligence and find out what we want and get forward, and then have all new applications. All new people, not just new people. People who are on it can still apply to continue to be on it or to be on the next one. But we would have more people, I think, and different people coming forward with applications that we can look at. And we start fresh maybe in September with a new UT.
Okay. All right, Irfan?
So, I think I'm not in favor of merging the two. I think these are two separate and distinct animals. And I think we need to think of the Upper Charles Trail Committee, the Upper Charles Trail, as wider than a simple trail in Hopkinton. It connects Milford to Ashland. It goes through Hopkinton, but it's also part of this wider trail network statewide and even nationally. So there is a big difference between the Upper Charles Trail and the trails within the town. So I think that keeping them separate makes sense. I think a pause, so we have to listen to what the town meeting's vote said. and we can't ignore it and just say, okay, business as usual. We have to do something. I think a pause in the activities of the Upper Charles Trails Committee makes sense until we can kind of get through this framework and get the required public feedback that we need in order to make recommendations. There were a few things that, Amy and I discussed and I had kind of thought through with the help of Scott, and just kind of looking at the charge as to what changes can we make in the charge, and the composition of the committee, and how we can kind of compartmentalize each person's role within the committee. So I think, I don't want to steal your thunder, Amy, but you had a fantastic suggestion on the ADA compliance. And another, idea I had is that we need to define what is a multi-use trail.
I was thinking that too, the nomenclature,
the nomenclature,
you have to be know what we're talking about.
Right. And when I think multi-use, I think usable for everybody, from runners to mom with a stroller, right? Everybody should be able to use it. Bicycles, scooters, skateboards, you name it. Everything should be able to use this trail. That's how the trail is in most other rail trails that I see. So defining what is a multi-use trail, I think, is something that's important. And Amy, I'll let you go over some of the other ideas we had.
Since I didn't type it out, it's in my handwriting.
I can't read it.
Yeah, so
I can't read my own handwriting.
I did also lean towards, but I want to hear from the public on it, keeping the two committees separate, because they do seem very different to me, but that with a vastly changed, charge and membership composition, perhaps. Let's see, and Irfan said, the two are different because one is just focused on local and one is more connecting communities townwide, and so that's the difference there. And then the piece about accessibility, this is a multi-use trailer path, and we are just forming a commission on disability in town, so I would like to recommend that we have a liaison from the Commission on Disability so that we can hear about someone who has a visual impairment or mobility impairment, how the trail would be for them too, because I really do think it should be for everyone. Let's see, what else did we say? That we thought there should really be specific measurable goals for the committee, which we would have to flesh out, and we could hear from others on that. And me, this is just personally, I don't know if Irfan weighed on this either, though. I was leaning towards more that the liaison should be non-voting members, and that the at-large members would be the voting members. And then I don't think it's clearly spelled out in this committee's charge, the role of the alternates and when they can vote. So I would like that to be specifically spelled out. The roles and reposting. Defines specific. Oh, and then so if only one alternate member can vote at the meeting, how is that determined by seniority? And I don't know if we have that in our general bylaws that we could just reference here. Let's see, and I've talked about maybe a butter notice is needed to go out a little bit more sooner when routes are being discussed near people's homes. And I was in favor of, discussing segments or portions of the trail and having different options for that, because I think we would know roughly where it's going to go, Center Trail and downtown, but maybe there could be 2 or 3 options for connecting the downtown to Ashland, and also several options connecting Center Trail to Milford, and to break it out that way, because they're really very different, and one could be maybe solved without the other. Let's see. Trying to think if I had anything else. And I read through Muriel's, and I liked some of the ideas in there too. Let's see. Okay, so I think that's all I have to add right now, but I do think a survey would be great, and I can talk about that one after everyone speaks.
There's one other thing that I wanted to add, which is the existing charge says to present 2 or 3 options. I think we need 3 options, not 2 or 3. We need 3 options, and it should be noted that the select board is the one that's going to pick which way to go. So we need more than one option. We need more than two options. We need to get an idea as to where can it go. A plan has not been submitted to the select board as far as what the final route's going to be. But also, as part of the MEPA process, there is an alternatives analysis requirement in MEPA. Yes, there is. I worked in it. I don't think we're going to avoid MEPA, but assuming we have to go through MEPA, there is an alternatives analysis, and we have to look at the various alternatives and what's good about them and what's bad about them. MEPA is going to be looking at environmental impacts, but we can also consider other impacts, community impacts, as we're looking at it.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't say like the others did. I would be supportive of a pause in the Upper Trails Trail Committee for now, but I didn't know how that would affect Segment 1. We did a vote on an item for Segment 1 at town meeting, so maybe the town manager can give us advice on that, because he's just seen all this too. But maybe later.
Look at that, she invited you in. So thank you, everybody. I did put together some of my thoughts, and clearly I wrestled with some of the same ideas. It's not necessarily clear to me how a one committee structure works, and it's not necessarily clear to me that a two committee structure is destined to work, having the experience that we've had that it hasn't worked. So I do think that input from everybody who's directly involved and invested, but also the general public at large, will really help. As everybody knows, when we put together a committee and a charge, or we think about the structure and so forth, it's about the work of the committee. It's agnostic of people who serve on the committee, because every committee position is going to be open to every person who puts their name forward. I thought about a little bit about the abutter interface too. I thought about the suggestion about thinking about in terms of presenting options for segments. That definitely works for me, because I don't have the great capacity for that kind of a bigger picture, and I think that it might be easier for people to wrestle with. Would certainly know the abutters that were more impacted. It would just be easier to compartmentalize. I thought about the liaisons too, and I agree with you, Amy, that it's sort of there's also this there's a committee can get too big, and the liaisons, all the liaisons that I was thinking about, all have a role and all play, and we want their input and their collaboration as it goes forward, but committees can be just too big and too unwieldy. So I sort of thought about them as non-voting members as well. I also wrestled a little bit, although I don't even know if I said it in there, with non-voting alternate members, and I think I just came to the conclusion that you'd appoint members and everybody would have the same agency, and not entertain the alternate members thing. So that was some of my ideas. I do also want to say that I spent some time with both charges, and there's another big piece that's very similar for both of them, and that is the public engagement piece. So that was another thing that sort of worked in my head, that there was some real necessity to consider a one committee structure, but I don't think there's an easy answer. I certainly didn't come up with any magical solution. But that piece, that public engagement piece, is going to be vital for trails of any kind. And I think that we collectively need to do a more solid job making sure that happens. Then the other thing was the nomenclature that you brought up, Irfan, and, you know, the multi-use path. When I used it, I meant it as a trail that everybody, but I didn't know if I was using the right term, right? So we, you know, a shared nomenclature that everybody understands what we're talking about when we're talking about different types of trails, I think is going to be really important. So that's sort of my feedback in a you know, tighter frame. So for this committee, just thinking in terms of the time, we heard, I think that part of why I spent so much time with it is I agree. I think that we need to put a temporary pause on the activities of the UCTC, at least, and then. But Amy, your suggestion to make sure it doesn't interfere with any of the town meeting vote is a very good one. So I'd want to make sure that we weren't confounding that. And then the timeline, this looked good to me. I don't think we can necessarily do it faster. This looks aggressive. And we're hoping that people, and don't be scared by the reaction that my input got. just throw your good ideas into the basket, truly. If everybody kind of like takes you know, that metaphorical big collective deep breath and starts really thinking about ways that we can build a go-forward position that accomplishes, like defining what it is we want to accomplish, and a go-forward position that really really gets that accomplished. I think that we certainly can solve this, and we do have other issues that are very pressing, and that doesn't diminish this. We want to get this squared away, but definitely get us your feedback, because it, you know, and ideas. How important are the trails to you? How do you use the trails? What is your support for the different visions? If you don't have an idea on committee structure, that's fine, but, you know, let us know what your input and your emphasis is. Excuse me. So, are we comfortable with this timeline? This is a question to the board. In this process?
Well, I'm not going to be here for most of it.
Yeah. Lucky you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So this is something that Amy and I were both very cognizant of, is that we're entering into the summer and you know, people go away.
Yeah.
At the same time, we had an overwhelming vote at a town meeting, and we can't ignore that. And, if it matters to people, I think they would come and present their thoughts and feedback.
And given the time constraint, would you be comfortable with Irfan and I, who are not a quorum, drafting a survey and that could be published after Memorial Day before we meet again? Or would you rather we could wait until the 6th, but then...
I think what we also need to do is find out from Milford and Holliston and the other towns that have the Upper Charles Trail that we haven't been able to connect to it. And how could that be done? Maybe we need their maps and their, you know, they've done it for the most part. And we're supposed to, Hopkins is supposed to connect to it at some point, somewhere. And we're going to need to look into those too.
I think that probably is like the next step, and I know that is part of the work that has been ongoing, but I don't disagree. Okay, so your question was a survey. Their question was crafting a survey.
Are you comfortable with two of us doing it outside of a meeting, or would you guys all like to review it before it goes live? In which case, we'd have to wait till the 6th to.
We wouldn't be able to go live with the survey if we didn't. Until the 6th.
If I may.
Yep.
2 members of the board may act as a subcommittee of the board.
Yeah.
They will then have to comply with the open meeting law.
Yes.
And decisions that are made as that subcommittee will be reported to the full board meeting. So they can decide and act and report to the board.
Yeah. Okay. But But then, right, so would you rather?
I understood your question.
Yeah, we could, it just
And
delays
I
us.
understood your feedback.
Yeah.
So in the interest of speed, can the subcommittee generate a survey and publish? Or
If this board would authorize it, I
do we need to wait
guess,
until
yeah.
our next meeting to publish the survey? Shadul, do you have any thoughts?
I think subcommittee, so my thought is I want to expedite it, like you all have expressed as well. And if it's subcommittee and union, if I'm working on the side to finalize the survey, it's a good idea. I think we can do that. It wasn't clear, there was a little noise. If they finalize the survey, can we review it before the next meeting and publish it, or we'll have to wait for the next meeting to publish it?
That's what you guys have to decide. Would you guys like to see it at the next meeting, or would you like to give us the authority to publish it before the next meeting? I think.
Personally, I'd like to just present it to the board.
Okay.
I think it would make sense for the rest of the board to have input and visit instead of just Amy and I running away with it.
Yeah, I also think just that because of the interest from the public too, I think that it will help if the public gets a chance to interact with it and comment on it before it gets sent out.
Okay.
Usually we put their comments in when we send the survey.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Through the chair, Mr. Kamalu, if we do the subcommittee, we would need to vote on a subcommittee today, and then every meeting that we have would need to be a public meeting.
Mm-hmm. And it can't be on the weekend, is that?
And could it be on the weekend?
So if they work together and aren't publishing it, they're bringing something back just like this.
My advice to boards is
always have posted.
Yes, if board members are acting on a matter that is properly before the board on a consistent basis, they then constitute a subcommittee.
Yep, thank you.
That's
okay.
Yep.
That's the most conservative position.
Yep.
There are other people who may feel that they are not a subcommittee.
Yeah.
The most conservative position is that it's a matter properly before the board. They are meeting regularly, and therefore they're subject to the open meeting law.
Okay, but given the time constraint, and it is Memorial Day and then graduation, so it can be on a weekend if we could find a public meeting place?
Boards do meet on weekends.
Okay. I had thought that we couldn't meet when the town hall was closed, but okay.
No, you can meet any place as long as it's accessible and posted.
And posted properly.
Okay, but like town hall wouldn't be open on the weekend.
Right, but you could meet at Cornell's. I don't mean to suggest that you must, but you could.
Other town committees, I believe in the elementary school building committee, we've met on
Okay. Okay.
Library meeting rooms are available on the weekend.
On the weekend, okay.
Okay, so do we need anything else tonight, or should we take a formal vote on a hiatus? I don't even know the way to do this, particularly for the Upper Charles Trail.
I think you also want to take a formal vote to authorize Irfan and I to form a subcommittee to work on the survey.
Okay.
That we would bring back.
So I will entertain a motion to authorize Amy and Irfan to be a subcommittee to work on the survey and bring it back for June 6th. Is there a second? Or is there a motion? Mary Jo motioned.
Okay.
So moved.
Or a second.
All right, second. Okay. Sorry about that. I scrambled that. Okay. All those in favor by roll call vote?
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes.
Muriel Kramer, yes.
Okay.
You know what we just got ourselves into, right?
I know.
And we so appreciate it. And then I'll entertain a motion to suspend the activities of the Upper Charles Trail Committee for 6 weeks. Or what is your thought?
So,
well,
before we do that, through the chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Kamalu a question. How would a pause on the activities of the UCTC affect the town meeting vote on segment 1?
I have not reviewed that extensively with staff. We will need to review that.
What about?
Okay.
Um,
Well, we could always unpause it at our next meeting if it was found necessary, right, for that grant. It was a CPC grant, I think.
Could we get so we can pause now and get an answer back, and we can unpause, right?
So it's definitely unusual, right?
Yeah.
This is definitely something that isn't every day, so.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to, put a pause on this and then have that detrimentally affect the town meeting vote on segment 1.
Wanted to check, is your concern more about the town bylaws on raising a committee and what happens to the funding or any transaction that are in the process, or what is it that you're?
So what exactly did we vote on at town meeting concerning segment 1?
It was a CPC vote.
I don't know exactly where we.
I don't have it with me.
There was to dissolve. What was the wording?
Well, there was that vote too.
That's not the one we're asking
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the vote on segment 1, the CPC funding.
Segment 1, it was to provide funding, CPA funds. Those funds wouldn't be available until July 1st in any event. So, and a pause simply means it would delay that process of them starting that work. So I don't see it having any material effect.
I appreciate your input. I'm going to defer to the town manager and what they have to say.
There's so long worded articles here.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me is that the funding may not be available till June 1st. That doesn't mean there isn't work that needs to happen until July 1st.
Oh, goodness. Summer's fun, yeah.
What is the typical process, Mr. Kamalo, for the CPC funding votes and so forth? I mean, what do you anticipate is going to have to happen?
There's the administrative side, where we have to identify the scope of services that are authorized under the town meeting vote, identify the entities that will implement the legislative action by town meeting, and also begin to collect the background information that is required to make the project work. So in this case, we will have to reach out to the Upper Charles Trail Committee to get the information that is required to even put together. If we need to put together bid documents, we'll need to get that information from the committee.
Okay. But could that wait till July 1, I guess is the question.
We have not evaluated that.
You have not evaluated that, okay. It was item N under CPC, sums from recreational reserve for preliminary engineering, including wetlands assessment, topographical evaluation, and trail mapping of segment 1, funded from the recreation reserve. And it's a 2-year grant spent under the direction of the Upper Charles Trail Committee and the Community Preservation Committee.
Bless you.
Could we through the chair, could we carve out an exception for this section here that town meeting voted on, and just say pause on everything except for that?
Did you want to say something, Mr. Hall?
In relation to that question, in fact, it's a question for Peter.
Okay, that's true.
Just one refresher.
Would it be helpful?
Yes.
Or?
Question for Peter. There was a previous discussion and agreement that the Upper Charles Trail Committee and the Trail Coordination and Management Committee work jointly on segment 1. Has any work been done in that regard?
No, it was not.
Can I hold on one second? I know that people at home can't hear you very well if you aren't speaking at the mic.
Sorry about that. Good point. There was a previous area where we were working, we were both working trying to get state trail grant funds. The Trails Coordination Management Committee was doing that for a trail that would have been through the Berry Acres area, and we were combining that with the Upper Charles Trail, working on segment 1. So they were still separate projects at that point. Okay. This is money for segment 1 that Upper Charles Trail was looking for. Only segment 1. And I think the point is that this is a 2-year process, spending $40,000 over 2 years, pushing it back, and taking the full hiatus that I think is really important for that Upper Charles Trail Committee. I don't think it's going to affect that work at all. Thank you.
Again, through the chair, my question was intended to assess whether you possess some of the information that we may need for this work. You meaning the trail coordination and management?
No, we have not worked on this area.
Ken, do you want to come forward and help us out?
Ken Parker, 69 Clinton Street, current member of the Upper Charles Trail Committee. And my thinking is if the Upper Charles Trail Committee is to be reconstituted in the near future, then spending money on this first segment is something that will be done with a new committee, and it would not make sense, in my opinion, to start that work before the new committee is constituted, because the decisions need to be made as Norman pointed out, as to exactly how to spend the money. And I hope some of the survey questions that get formulated may impact how that money gets spent, as to what priorities of trail the town wants. I don't know whether that will go into the survey, but I hope it will. And therefore, how that money is spent is something that we cannot determine now until we have a new committee and know what the results of the survey are, in my opinion.
So the question I have, Ken, I appreciate all that, and I'm swimming with you. The question I have is would the hiatus potentially interrupt our ability to access the funds in order to do, I agree, the work that is eventually decided upon?
That is not something I know about, but I don't understand why it would. It's a relevant question, though. Yeah.
Okay.
If I may, again, at a very global level, the town is always looking for opportunities to apply for grants. We have engaged our legislative team in terms of any federal grants that may be available. It is always advantageous for the community to have some plan in front of us when we make that request. We are all aware of the discussions that are taking place in Washington. They are not waiting for Hopkinton. Decisions are going to be made yesterday regarding availability of grants at the federal level. How that impacts what is being discussed right now, I don't have the specifics. But I just want the community to be aware of, we always need to have plans ready when engaging our partners at the state and the federal level when seeking grants for this community.
Okay, I'm hoping that we can...
Yeah, so through the chair, I'm just reading this carefully. Item N was a sum of monies funded from the Recreational Reserve, preliminary engineering, including wetlands assessment, topographical evaluation, blah, blah, blah. I think it's just the allocation of the funds. It's not saying that it has to be spent. So I think if we were to put a pause on the work, it would not impact the town meeting vote on item N.
But would it impact our ability to do the administrative processing to access the money? I think I agree with you.
Yes, it would. It would impact it because we're putting a pause on it. Nothing can be done.
Right. That's what. Would that just to
so money would still be there. And after 6 weeks, then it would still be there, and we could kind of pick up where we left off.
So there isn't, as far as you know, you're not worried about there being administrative deadlines in there in order to pursue the funds?
So the deadlines here said that the funds need to be expended by the 20th.
No, accessing the funds. And I know we're not worried about the deadline on expending them, right?
No,
that I don't know.
All right, well, what does everybody feel?
Well, I think we could suspend at least till our next meeting, and then we could suspend for 6 weeks, and if we determine by the next meeting that action is needed for this grant, then we could reverse that vote, right?
So I will happily entertain a motion if somebody wants to make one.
It sounds to me as though Mr. Khumalo has something to say.
Oh.
It appeared to me, at least.
Yeah, if I may.
Yep.
I have not checked, but is the Upper Charles Trail Committee scheduled to meet between now and the next select board meeting?
Yes.
But they can't. I think so.
Yes.
Right.
And, okay.
I'll just check the calendar, but I thought I had seen on the town calendar.
Maybe it's the 6th of June. 7th of June.
Oh, I thought I had
that's
seen that.
after us.
I thought I'd seen something on the 30th, so hold on. But I might have the wrong week.
It would normally be next Wednesday.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the page to load.
If I get there first, it's going to be a personal best. I'm not going to get there first.
And also, as the board is looking into that, if you refer to the framework that was shared, there's an intention on the 25th to receive comments from TCMC.
Yeah.
Right.
Then what about as well as the...
We did get some feedback from the Upper Charles Trail Committee.
Already, at their last meeting.
Okay.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing one for next week, so I must have misread that.
Okay.
It's the 7th. Okay, which would be after
that's
our
after.
meeting. Okay.
So we don't have to suspend for at this point. We can
Wait for the additional feedback.
and find out exactly what administrative details, information, if there's any milestone information that we need in order to continue to make progress on accessing the money.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Through the chair, I'm still leaning towards suspending, and if we need to amend anything because of the bylaws or anything, we can do that in the next meeting. I do feel that it's just making it clear in terms of how we are looking at proceeding. I understand the procedural and bylaws and others may need some more close look at things. I don't see any challenge by doing that tonight and then revisiting as needed the other way.
Through the chair, I'd just like to make an informed decision, and I think if we waited till the next meeting, we would have the information we need, make an informed decision.
Yeah, I am also more comfortable waiting, Mary Jo,
You mean for
till our next meeting to decide about suspending.
Because nothing's going to happen anyways. They're not meeting.
Well, they could call a meeting, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with town meeting, I don't mind doing it tonight, but if we want to wait,
Okay.
I probably won't be here, but I'll be maybe Zooming.
Okay, Amy, you're in the lucky spot.
Oh, boy.
Sorry to say. I hate when that happens.
I know.
Hold on one second, Shadul.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would like to go ahead and pause for now, but knowing that we could reverse that if necessary at the next meeting.
Okay, so someone needs to make a motion.
So I guess I would make a motion to pause their work until July 1. Does that make sense? Until any...
I second that.
Okay, till July 1st is what the motion was. Shahidul seconded.
Yeah,
Any,
but we
any
could till
further
July 11th.
discussion?
Oh, would July 11th be better? That's when our meeting would be in July. Okay.
You can do July 11th.
Okay, let's say until July 11th.
Do you still second it, Shahidul, until July 11th? We can revisit it if we had to.
I'll be fine with that, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? No. Okay. Then all those in favor by roll call vote?
Irfan Nasrallah, no.
Amy Ritterbush, yes.
Mary Jo McPherson, yes.
Shahid Manan, yes.
Muriel Creamer, no. It passes. Okay. So, so the work of the committee is suspended until at least July 11th, and the Upper Charles Trail Committee, and we will be putting together a survey for the public, and hopefully publishing it soon after our next meeting, which is July 6th.
June 6th.
June 6th.
Thank you very much, June 6th. That's what I meant. And we do welcome feedback. Linda, yes, go ahead quickly if you could. Thanks.
Hi, Linda Chess, 11 School Street. I just wanted to say you guys have mentioned a survey many times, and being actively involved, I have no clue what you're doing a survey about, so I don't even know how to provide feedback. Can you just give some idea of the kinds of things the survey will be about? I'm sure I'm not the only one who asked that question.
The intention was a survey on the process. Like, do people have specific recommendations for things to add or remove from the charge? Do people have specific recommendations on one committee versus two committees? And the composition of the membership, if people have feelings one way or another, but not about deciding where the trail's going to go. That's not, it's about the process for moving forward.
Okay, and anything about the multi-use discussion that was brought up, or no?
Well, we don't know. We got to meet to discuss, I guess.
Okay, just curious, because if I'm going to give feedback, I had to sort of know the scope, so that's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, we are well and firmly behind schedule, but that was an important conversation. I appreciate everybody's feedback. Yes?
Can I cut it for a minute?
Yes.
Sorry, through the chair. I just wanted to remind people, tomorrow night, public forum, senior
we're going to
center.
do that at the end.
Oh, we will?
Yeah.
Because make sure it got
yes, definitely
out there.
Okay. We had volunteer recognition. I'm going to suggest we move past volunteer recognition and we talk about it at the next agenda, and move sprightly forward to the 2535 Main Street parking lot and ask Mr. Kamala to take us away.
Thank you. Through the chair as well as to the community, we are tonight excited to be reporting that we are now in the final stage of making the parking that is available at 2535 Main Street available to the public. There are 3 requests before the board. The first being the license that will allow for 25 additional parking spaces, additional to the 31 that belong to the town. The license will also allow for snow storage, driving, passing and repassing, as well as also allowing for snow plowing spaces. In addition to the license, for us to be able, as the town, to access those 25 parking spaces, we will need to have an easement in place. That easement will be for access, utilities, as well as snow storage. And then finally, with regard to the 31 parking spaces, pursuant to the site plan that was approved and recorded, the town will also, pursuant to Article 51 of the May 6, 2019 annual town meeting, we are asking the board to execute the order of taking that will allow the parking spaces, the 31 parking spaces, to be conveyed to the town. Therefore, again, in summary, the board is being asked to approve a license. To exercise that license, we'll need an easement agreement. And for the 31 parking spaces that the town approved the town meeting to come to the town, to be conveyed to the town, we're asking that we do this through an order of taking. This is a friendly order of taking.
Perfect. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Can't we do an angry order of taking?
Okay, so I would make a motion that the board adopt and execute an order of taking to acquire the parking lot at 2535 Main Street, accept an access, utility, and snow storage easement from Kevin W. Labissiere, trustee of the Hopkinton Village Center Condominium Trust, and approve the form of a revocable license agreement with Kevin W. Labissiere, trustee of the Hopkinton Village Center Condominium Trust, and authorize the town manager to execute the license on behalf of the board. I would further move to authorize the town manager and town council to take any necessary actions and execute any associated agreements needed to effect these transactions.
Second that.
Great. Any discussion or questions?
I've been doing this. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, appreciate that we're at this point. So thank you very much, Mr. Kamalo. All those in favor by roll call vote?
Stefano Swilly, yes.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Charlie Munger, yes.
Ariel Kramer, yes. Thank you very much. All right, now we're on to the town manager's report. Is that right? Yes.
Correct, thank you. The first item is the town meeting retrospective, and this is the time for the select board members to present the efforts that they put into the homework, answering the questions with regard to town meeting. What are the 3 things that went well? What are the 3 things that could have gone better? What are suggestions for improvement? And what are the priority follow-up actions from the town meeting? And which of these would each board member like to work on?
Okay. All right. Anybody want to start?
I can start.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah. So I think, or did you want to start?
No.
So I think things that went well are that we finished in 2 nights. That was good. The consent agenda, I think, did speed things up. That was good. The timer sped things up. Things that could have gone better. The public doesn't necessarily understand the consent agenda process, like in how to hold an item or ask a question, so that could be improved. Could have gone better. The timer didn't work very well the first night, so that could be improved. Let's see. I think those might be my only 2 things that could have gone better. Suggestions for improvement. Yeah, the documents were all online and everything. It went pretty well. Which would you like to work on? I would always like to work on things that involve communication and posting things online. So I guess I'd be happy to give suggestions for the website and communications. But it was a huge improvement from last year.
Thank you.
How about you, Irfan?
Will you accept that the baby drooled on my homework?
No, you picked the wrong chair for that.
Actually, I don't have a lot to add. It was actually difficult for me to really assess what was going on at town meeting.
Oh, right.
Watching it on YouTube. But from getting over in 2 days, that's extraordinary. And I think the timer, I agree with what Amy was saying. I think the timer was fantastic. It's hard to offer improvements.
I echo that. I think Megan did a great job, and having the timer made it really much easier for everybody. And I was kind of gratified with the number of people that were there. We can still use a whole lot more at town meeting, but there seemed to be more than the last couple of years. So, and new people, and that's a pretty positive move forward. And really, otherwise, I spent my life going to town meetings, so it wasn't a whole lot different than most of them. But it was 2 nights instead of 3 nights, and we got all the business of the town done, and that's a good thing.
And a full audience. I did cut you off, Irfan, I'm sorry. What suggestions for improvement and priority follow-up actions from both of you guys, but you can go first.
I don't really have any areas of improvement that wouldn't be too drastic. So.
And your priority interest areas?
I would say expediting things, expediting the meeting, avenues for further expediting.
Priority follow-up actions from the town meeting. to clarify the question.
I forgot to add about the electronic voting. I think that is...
Okay.
Well, I was thinking electronic voting as
yeah.
well, but I think that's something that our clerk is working on, and for me to take on that is really just saying, okay, I'll let him do it.
Follow team after folks.
All right, I'll be happy to work with the town clerk on electronic voting.
Yeah, but it's a budget thing too. We have to find money for it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Great.
Are there ARPA funds?
Mary Jo, I cut you both off in series. Sorry about that.
There were a lot of 2/3 votes that had to be counted, and that was really a bit difficult to get it done and counted right. I don't know how we expedite that, but I think that there are some ways that I think when you have a real majority vote that it should go. I mean, if you know it's more than 2/3, there's only just a few people, you know it's going to pass. So I do think that we have to decide whether or not we're going to count everything or count when there's a question or, you know, what's going to happen there. But we do have to expedite that.
Yeah, one of the things that I expressed polite frustration about that is, I hope it was polite as well. And I think that the answer that I heard was that if it had to do with an appropriation or zoning, the reviewing authorities in whatever mechanism that is, unless it was unanimous, they really wanted the count. So I think that we just have to kind of explain that. If that has to be the way, we just have to set the
count.
And if it has to be bonded, I believe that.
Yeah, right. If it's an appropriate, right. If it's, I think all the money issues, but yes, definitely if it's bonded.
So I think we mentioned that last time too. If it has to have a 2/3 count, could we just write that in the motions document so people wouldn't be surprised that it needed a count?
Yeah.
But electronic voting would speed up that counting, so we could potentially solve.
Potentially.
Yeah.
That's our hope. So how about you, Shahidul? What are your takeaways from town meeting? The good, the bad, and what you want to work on?
Yeah, I think I mentioned some in the last one. So I'll repeat some of those. Consent agenda certainly help expedite. So let's continue doing that. Regarding consent agenda, I was wondering if we can do more grouped items. And second part is provide some educational material on the context of consent agenda, because not everyone always was very, I think, great understanding with those. I heard some questions. So that's one thing. It works, let's do it, and let's also provide more information ahead of time. Second is, I think certainly all that you all said, participation was great. We made it in 2 days, 2 nights. That's great. Let's see what are the key contributors to that. One, I think, is because of the distribution of the warrants in a way that kind of kept it tight and interesting for various stakeholder groups. We had a very good quorum throughout, very good participation throughout. So I don't know if it was by chance or it was well thought out by Norman and town administration, but that was well done. So that also helped, I think. The third is, I don't know if, I think we did a great job with the communication. I really appreciated the materials and how we had various sessions, and also on the website and others distributed and provided the information in a timely fashion. One thing I would add to that is, for every warrant, if there is a way we could add the context and some historical or relevant materials part of the main warrant list, that would help, I think, with everyone's understanding a little better. Because there are, some who does the homework a lot and goes and reads and understands it through various links and going to various areas, opening various documents. And there are always some who may not have done that homework and in the meeting are not fully aware of the even minimal context. And it's everyone's busy, so the best we could do is if we can add even like a small summary on the warrants context with the warrants. It would probably prolong the document a little bit, but it could help with the awareness a little bit more. And third is, if we can look at the electronic, kudos to Power to Connor to look into that. Certainly look at that option as more efficiency and within the perimeter, better, faster, I think, vote counting. And if that for some reason doesn't fully work out, if there is any other way, when we even do the manual counting, we can make it a little more efficient. And thanks to all the volunteers who does it very well. But I think sometimes it takes time and we have to recount. How can we make it a little bit better? That would be something to explore. But thanks again. I think this was really well done. Thanks to the administration and all the town residents for participating. And it was great to see direct democracy in action. And everyone was very vocal and very informative, expressing their thoughts, opinions, their data, information. I thought it was fascinating to see democracy in action, and really proud of our town, our practice, and our residents' voice.
So the last thing, Shahidul, are there priority follow-up actions from town meeting that you would like to work on?
In terms of the improvement actions, you think? Or
in terms of whatever was voted at town meeting, are there priority action items that you want to take a little bit of ownership of?
Oh, sure. I think I'll have to think about that a little bit. Let me get back to you and to the board on that.
Okay. All right.
I haven't viewed, but I'm going to be clear. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
If I could add too, I don't know, this was new this year. They had this, the IT department put together this interactive story, a town meeting story, and as you scrolled through each article, it did have the links to more info, and it popped up with a chart. As you got to Article 5, a different chart came up, and it was mobile friendly. And I don't know if...
Well, I didn't pull that up, so that's awesome.
So I think that would be good for us to look at, because to me it was like what Shahidul was mentioning.
Yeah.
Like it here's a link to the PDF when you get to that.
That's awesome.
That article. And you can look at it on your phone because it's mobile friendly.
So this resource was available at town meeting. Is that like scanning? Like I was looking at just the printout of the warrant.
So I think they had QR codes at town meeting.
Okay.
And this was front and center on the town website prior to the town meeting.
Okay.
But I don't know how many. I noticed it, but I don't know how many people noticed it.
Right. I didn't understand that resource was available. And is there a possibility in this case, I'm jumping ahead on my feedback, is there a possibility in this case that, for example, when the successful consent agenda is done, that could be updated? I would feel like that would be easy, so that as we're scrolling through, it minimizes...
Have a check mark, this one's done?
Yeah, it minimizes confusion that piece has already been done. Because the consent agenda I love, it's just a little bit challenging because the numbers are throughout the warrant. So if there's a way that might help, so that people know. And I misheard some of the numbers too. And where our back is to the screen, I don't know if it showed up on the screen which warrant numbers we're talking about. When we talk about the consent agenda, I assume that they were, but I don't know. But just so everybody is clear on which numbers are included in the consent agenda, and then if we can update it real time, so that we can scroll past the ones that have been part of that consent agenda, that would probably help.
I agree. That was confusing too, because we voted all the DPW articles early because John Westerling had to leave, and so then some articles that were really later in the agenda had already been voted, but we forgot by the time we were there.
Yeah. I don't know if that's possible, but I just everybody has kind of they've said all the good things that I would mention. I guess I really focus on the fact that people showed up and people stayed and people engaged, and that was amazing. And that's exactly what we asked people to do, and I really appreciate that. Very glad we got it done in 2 nights. I do like the consent agenda. I do understand how it gets a little confusing for folks, but I think as we practice it, as we do it more, we'll get better at it, and it'll become, it'll be more second nature for folks. I don't know if you mentioned this. I apologize, Amy, but you had said that the closed captioning you really liked. Did you say that tonight?
I don't know if I said it tonight. I said it last time.
Yeah,
but it was excellent.
So I just wanted to elevate that because that's awesome. If there's a tool that's helping people access the discussion, that's really helpful. That's awesome. And it was a little different for the closed captioners. We had to always remember to say our name. So that was just a little change, but definitely a big improvement. And then, and I'm going to hate myself as soon as the words escape my lips, but the priority follow-up actions from town meeting for me all center around a communication plan, engagement plan, a collaboration strategy for the budget that we do a great job with consistently every year, but the capital plan that is looming, so that we're all talking about it with consistency in collaboration with all the committees working on the different priority items, and that nothing is a surprise, not that anything would be a surprise, but that we're really all in conversation about the challenges ahead with the capital plan in particular.
Some kind of interactive tool for that too.
We have an interactive
tool
for that, yes. Yeah. Is that what you were hoping for, Mr. Kamala?
Yes, I think the board members did a great job. Questions 1 through 4, questions 5. I think some of those issues will be coming up as the year unfolds. And interesting enough, I'm surprised the board overlooked where you spent your time tonight. Next steps on the Upper Charles Trail Committee.
We
and also, I want to take this opportunity to celebrate the excellent work performed by the town's volunteers. I can say that the presenters at the town meeting were very well prepared. They answered the questions completely, fully, and professionally. And also, I would be amiss if I did not celebrate the very, very constructive way that the dialogue evolved at town meeting. Usually when town meeting is discussing dogs, trees. Yeah, the discussions become a little bit hostile, but there was none of that. And it's something that is worth celebrating here in Hopkinton, that neighbors can disagree, and at the end of the day, they do so in a very diplomatic, very civil, and constructive way. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the exceptional effort put into our town meeting Super Bowl occasion by the town staff. In fact, recognizing the excellent work that Elaine did, may not realize she is our project manager when it comes to town meeting. She is behind the whole effort of assembling and collecting information from different entities and coordinating with the town clerk's office, the town moderator, the town manager's office, town councils, and she did a great, wonderful job getting us to our Super Bowl. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elaine.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I do too, kind of, and it can't be great fun, but.
Yes. And also, I would be amiss if I did not recognize the excellent effort by Tim O'Leary. He may not be with us now, but I think the work that he did with the Capital Improvement Committee, the Appropriations Committee, as well as the public forum that we conducted as part of strengthening our budget process was amazing. And he did so in a year where we were thin on staff. As you know, usually we have Ben, we have Alice, who had just come on board, was getting to learn the town's processes and so forth, and Tim managed to pull everything together and get us to town meeting. Also want to thank the community as well as the board for supporting the participatory budget process. Again, it's another new concept that we introduced. Would require a great deal of explanation on our part in terms of how it works. I believe the projects that were submitted were very exciting. They are projects that are needed by the community, and they are projects that we are eager as staff to implement as soon as July 1 comes along. And that effort would also not have been possible without the efforts by Liz, who was our project manager for that assignment. Other than that, we are back to work. We need to implement the decisions and votes that we take in a town meeting, and we'll be working with the town clerk's office to get what we need to get to the Attorney General's office, as well as working with our legislative team to get the special acts in process to be enacted at Beacon Hill.
Okay.
So there's still homework for next week. Question number 5. I'm just kidding.
You mean
D?
You mean D,
D,
the
yes.
fourth
The
one.
fourth, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Simra, will you email us to remind us?
So
we should be able to remember it.
Through the chair, I also want to extend hearty thanks to Elaine, to Tim O'Leary and the town staff, to Norman, everyone for their hard work. It was really a well collaborated work and thorough and very, I would say, expertly done. I just want to close interject maybe for another discussion. We would need to think about how we can keep our channel to team open for advice and ongoing support in some ways. Just wanted to interject that.
Great, thanks, Jadul. So, Mr. Kamalo, you're up again.
Up again on the Main Street Corridor project. I think all of us driving in, walking to Town Hall, we could smell the asphalt. I know this will be coming up perhaps in the next Main Street Corridor update from Dave and Michelle. We had budgeted 3 weeks for this work to be done. They are absolutely on target to complete the work within the 3-week period. On PFAS, we did conduct the public hearing on the use of ARPA funds. I approved the use of $1.187 million from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 to fund a portion of the filtration system. If residents again have any questions on private wells and PFAS, please feel free to reach out here at Town Hall. We're collecting as much information as we can to share with all town residents, whether they are on town water supply or on private wells. Southborough Interconnection Project, been a little bit slow on this one. However, we did have a meeting with Power Corporation just to identify if there are any items that we need to work on immediately on the scope of work as we await the incoming DPW director. Also, we discussed opportunities for other grants. There appears to be a grant that we may be able to apply for. We'll work with the consultants to do that. And then happily, the invitational entry program fundraising hit the $500,000 mark.
That's amazing. Wow.
Congratulations to local civic organizations. Congratulations to town departments. Congratulations to all the supporters of the marathon who made this happen. This year's fundraising was up by 35% from last year's.
Incredible.
And I want to take this opportunity also to recognize the efforts of Vasuda. In our office, she has been our project manager. This project coordinated all the communications with the BAA, the organizations that applied for the invitational entry program, and she has also been collecting the reporting information and has done so in a very timely manner. Again, excellent effort. Congratulations to the local civic organizations that raised this money. It's money that goes towards supporting very essential services in the community. And not listed in my written report to the board, I think it's important that we do this. We have been, as I reported previously, we at staff level have been meeting with Eversource as well as talking to residents at Legacy Farms with regard to scheduling a public forum. Yesterday afternoon, we did agree and we did communicate this to the representative of the residents. The forum is going to be held on June 8th. We are speaking with the Community Faith Church. It's going to be the likely venue for the forum. We are compiling and we hope to have this information ready as early as tomorrow. All the documents that are already public that have gone through the town SENS, we want to put them at one location so that they can be accessible to anyone who's interested in reading about the town's efforts on the LNG facility. In terms of what we should expect, we're thinking the forum will start at 6:30 and run for 2 hours. It'll be broken up into the following parts. There will be an introduction by Eversource. They will explain to the community what the operation is, and then we also will give the residents the opportunity to introduce their concerns. And then the third part or the remainder of the program will be a question and answer session where representatives from Eversource will be available to answer questions from the residents. My understanding is that the residents have also been speaking directly with Eversource and they may be collecting some information through that process. So again, June 8th, most likely the Faith Community Church from 6:30 to 8:30.
And you'll be able to finalize that. Give us the exact at our next meeting on the 6th.
Probably sooner than that, right?
Sooner than that. In fact, we are expecting Eversource to send us a flyer. I don't know, Elaine, we've been so busy today. It may have arrived today or it may arrive as early as tomorrow. We will share that with the community widely. We'll share it with the board.
Excellent.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I wanted to ask too, through the chair, if that's all right, if the Landowners Association, if there would be a representative from the Legacy Farms Landowners Association about the mitigation lamps.
We don't have a specific commitment in that regard. We will reach out to Roy tomorrow and ask him.
Okay, because I think that is a piece that people are wondering about too.
100%.
And obviously town staff will be there too.
And through the chair, just one more question. On the Main Street Corridor project, does the paving mean that the underground utilities have been installed?
Yes, the conduits, the cables that are needed to be underground are already underground. We will continue to work on the interconnections, and eventually, at some point, when we liven the underground utilities, we'll start. Eversource will start working on
removing the poles.
Horizon, the town's fire department will start working on the existing wires that are above ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this section of road will not be dug up again?
Oh, no. After this, no.
All right.
Yeah.
But a little bit of the yards will be dug up to connect to the
That
buildings.
part's understood. But the main road is not, we're not going through full excavation on this side of Main Street.
Phew.
No.
There is light at the end of the
There's light at the end, yeah.
Yes, but there's darkness for us on the other side.
appreciate everybody's patience as we
Yes, absolutely.
get through. Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? I think so. All right. I think that we're on liaison reports.
I have one, which I'm sure.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I think I wasn't sure on the PFAS one. I had a little bit of comment, if I may.
Sure.
So quickly, I think I saw UNA with Eversource on a local newspaper, and I thought it was very informative, and that triggered me the thought that we might have discussed earlier, and I also was proposing, which is, can we do a public forum on PFAS overall? I'm sorry, I was talking about LNG. I moved, mixed up the words. So for LNG, I was looking at this video for Q&A with Eversource, and I thought it was quite informative. And I was thinking if we can do a public forum with this type of context with Eversource and the residents, so there's more clarity on some of the items, and some of the residents who has reached out feels more comfortable.
So I think that that's what we're contemplating for June 8th.
Oh, thank you. So June 8th, we have a public forum scheduled?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. It's a little hard on Zoom, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Irfan, liaison.
Yeah, liaison reports. The Upper Charles Trails Committee had their meeting last week, and they stated they understood the town meeting vote. They did not reorganize. They re-elected the same chair and vice chair. They discussed various options for improvements to the charge, and they provided, we should be getting those.
I think we have we have those.
We have those, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I wanted to note Memorial Day is coming up this weekend, and the World War II monument, which we had one a long time ago that was wooden, and they replaced it with granite, and it is installed, so I hope everybody will go see that. And I don't know the order of the events for Memorial Day, but I think it's probably posted on either the town website or Facebook. And then we were invited to a ribbon cutting, I wanted to note, for, I think it was a physical therapy.
When is that? I saw that too, but I don't remember the date.
I think it was next Friday.
June 1st.
June 1st.
June 1st. Is anybody available to go?
I will plan to go. I can do my therapy a little bit too.
Nice.
And I can probably go because I had taken the day off because of my daughter graduating that week, so we'll see.
I do have the Memorial Day scheduled at the gazebo, 11:15, and then so it begins with music, and there'll be speakers, and I think they have a gathering. They definitely have a gathering because they've asked for donations of desserts at St. John's.
St. John's.
After the ceremony.
Is that? So often they have a luncheon and then also a dinner, right? Or that's Veterans Day. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
So the dessert donations
start at
are
11:15 on the common.
Okay.
For that portion of the events.
And there's an Easter egg on the monument. I don't know if anyone's found it yet.
Oh.
A little hidden element.
So an Easter egg as part of the...
So it's not literally an Easter egg, like in a video game when there's a surprise element that you'll notice after you look at it.
You have to help the old girl out. Thank you.
You'll find it.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, I watched the PFAS little forum we had here, and it's a little disappointing for such a big issue. There were so few people here. I know some of my colleagues here were there, and I was home watching it on television, and it was very informative, and they had some very good people asking questions, and I think it's just a shame that more of the community wasn't there. That's all.
Okay. Did you want to make your announcements about the different events coming up?
Well, this is just the public forum tomorrow night at 6:30 at the Senior Center, and it's going to be on give your input for municipal property master planning, and it shows here Fruit Street, Center School, and the Elmwood School, and we do need to do some advanced planning for these places, so I hope people come out and give us their input tomorrow night.
Also tomorrow night, the school committee is interviewing candidates for the director of student services, so that's of interest to the public too. That's 5:30 to 6:30 at the Hopkinton High School main office conference room. I also noticed in our packet a reminder that the Commission on Disabilities is looking for volunteers to sign up, so we want to encourage people to do that. It's a busy week. The Youth Commission is having an event at the HCA. I hope people will come. I plan to go at 6:45, beginning 6:45 on Thursday. It is all about how volunteerism can contribute to your own personal mental health and sense of well-being. So it should be a really nice program. I hope people come. Also, the Pride Parade is coming up. I have the date, but June 11th. June 11th, and they sent out an urgent call for volunteers. So for all of folks out there that are as happy as I am that we're having this parade annually and it's getting to be a bigger event, I hope that you will reach out to the Freedom Team or the Youth Commission as well. I'm not sure, but the Freedom Team for sure can help direct you to magical ways that you can volunteer and make the event even more special. Shahidul, did you have any announcements?
I think you all covered it well. I was going to remind the June 11th Pride Parade by the Freedom Team. Certainly, we are looking forward to that. And I wanted to also check, when is our Juneteenth flag raising event? Do we have that on the calendar? That's something.
We sent a calendar invite. It's going to be before the next meeting, so about 5:30 on June 6th.
So yeah, June 6th, 5:30, right before our regular meeting.
Wonderful. And just echoing what Mary Jo mentioned, I joined the PFAS Public Forum. I thought it was very informative, and the town and the experts did a wonderful job. Some of the concerned residents also echoed really good questions that was insightful and put in a lot of information and context around it. And I hope that we can distribute that information to the mass who could not join. We wish there were more participation, but I think there were at least 3 or 4 events happening that particular evening. So if there is some way we can summarize the content and distribute it, that would be great, but it's also available on YouTube, I believe, right, Norman? So you can watch it there and ask questions if there are follow-ups. It's a very important issue, and I think there were a lot of good information shared in that session.
Yeah, and I think just speaking as a resident, I appreciated being there, and I was reminded too how much expertise we have in the community from our professional staff, from our volunteers, and from just community members. So it was a nice, really helpful for me, from my personal homeowner standpoint of working through the issue and thinking through potential solutions. So I really appreciate that we had the opportunity to do that. I also appreciate that we could make decisions like that on the ARPA funding without having a forum, and very much appreciate that we do have those engagements and those forums to make sure that we're engaging with the public on those. Okay, so
one more question.
Sure.
So you mentioned the Disability Commission, and I've been wanting to ask, because people who have applied have been asking me, are you getting enough applicants, or should we encourage more people to apply? So we need a lot more. Okay, so I mentioned to someone at book club last night. I will let her know there's not enough applicants. Okay.
I wanted to invite my fellow board members to rank their preferences for liaison appointments, like 1 to 10. Everybody gets about 8. In the past, when I've tried to do this, I try really hard to make sure people get their top choices or some of their top choices. But if you can pick 10 that you'd be willing to do, and if you rank them 1 to 10, we'll know how you feel about them and try to prioritize how that goes. Okay. Does that work?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Homework, huh?
Can we send out a Google form? I'm trying to think.
Can we send? You can certainly send out a Google form.
Okay. It makes it easier to rank, I think.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. If you don't mind.
Okay.
That's amazing. Okay. Future board agenda items. I was going to volunteer to look through the list that we currently carry and suggest some that can come off. And sort of tighten it up, and then next meeting we could hopefully quickly prioritize ones that we really want to start getting onto the agenda. But do people have future board agenda items tonight to propose?
No. I don't think so.
We have
enough.
Yeah, we do. Okay. So is it that magical time?
It is.
Certainly is.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Your vice chair seems to have left, so
I thought you might want to make the motion. Okay.
I'll make the motion. I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
I think Shadul's gone, so we can do
Okay, aye.
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 Okay.
All in favor?
Nothing.